What's up?
You heard me.
I actually didn't.
LGBTQ.
Yep, what about it?
Yeah, you just said there was nothing about transgender.
Yeah, so how about this? I give you the mic, and we hear what you have to say. And then I'm going to answer you, and you'll hear what I have to say, what everybody else here has to say. Does that sound like a good deal?
I don't need a mic.
Yes.
I can speak louder.
Well, stand up. Tell me your name and state your question.
My name's Alexis Case, and I grew up here
Okay?
in this town. LGBTQ is a serious situation in this world today. There are children that get bullied because they are gay, they are lesbian, they are transgender. I don't need that.
Okay. You're welcome to have it if you want.
I don't need it.
You get to ask your question, but after that, you're going to hear me give my answer. So I'll let you finish.
What is your stance on LGBTQ?
Good. Thank you for your question. I'm going to answer it. I'm going to go into a level of depth that I don't usually go into on a campaign trail, but I'm going to do it because you asked the question. You deserve an answer. LGBTQIA, there's so many letters, they've just added a plus at the end. That's where we are now. What's going on? So the same movement, because if we're going to call that one thing, let's play it fair. The same movement that said that the sex of the person you're attracted to is hardwired on the day you're born. That was the premise of the gay rights movement, for it to count as a civil right. That movement is now saying that your own biological sex is totally fluid over the course of your life.
Hypocrite.
You can't believe both those things. Well, I think I'm going to get to a deeper say. That's where I was about a year or two ago, but I think there's something deeper going on, and I'll tell you what it is. So the same movement, and by the way, let's think about the women's rights movement in this country, which said there's many ways to be a woman. You can have long hair, short hair, you can wear a skirt, you can wear jeans. Now says that, oh, if actually you want to behave a certain way, that means you're a man. So I think that the hypocrisies go all the way down. And I'll tell you what's going on. You can't believe both of those things at the same time if you're operating according to principles of sheer logic. But you can if you're adopting a faith, a cult-like belief system. So this is controversial for me to say, but I'm going to tell you what I think. I believe that transgenderism specifically is a mental health disorder. I believe it's a mental health condition.
Okay.
Nobody cares what they think.
Well, no. We're going to finish this. This is good. We have to have open conversation in this country. But I don't think the
Not a
compassionate
fucking
thing to do.
mental health disorder.
Well-
It's how they fucking feel.
Well, let me. If I'm going to give you a chance to respond if you'd like, but
No, I
we can't have an
just
open
did.
debate in this country if we're not
I
able to
just
state
did.
our views.
That's how they feel.
That's how they feel. And you know what? I'll tell you a story, and you deserve to hear this. I met two young women in this race about 6 months ago. Their names were Chloe and Katie, two young women. They're in their 20s now. Both of them had their breasts cut off. One of them had her uterus removed.
Okay.
They're in their 20s. They regret that decision. One of them wants to have kids. She'll never have kids. The other one will never breastfeed her children. They'll never be the same because they had that done to them when they were teenagers. So no, when a young person shows up and says, my gender doesn't match my biological sex, they're asking for help.
But you just said 20. That's not
They happened to them when one girl was 13 when it happened to her. She's in her 20s now and regrets it. This is what's wrong in this country. We will look back at this and say this was barbaric that we allowed this to happen in this country. That is not compassion. That is cruelty. And so I don't think the right thing to do is I'm not going to villainize those people. You don't villainize people who are going through suffering, but you have to be willing to say when a kid shows up and says my gender doesn't match my biological sex, you have to be able to say, what else is going wrong at home? What else might be going wrong at school? Get to the bottom of what's going on. Help that person with compassion, with dignity. So my view is this, if you're an adult, you're free to live your life however you want as long as you're not hurting somebody else. If you're a man, you can dress how you want. If you're a woman, you can dress how you want. Identify how you want. We're a free country, and I'm not going to stop you. But kids are not the same as adults. And we have to protect our children. And I'm going to go further than that. We can't change the way that women and men compete in sports. We can't do that. We can allow you to live your life the way you want to. But we can't change the way that we operate in our own life. And I'm going to finish this thought and then you get to respond. Because I think this is good. We don't do this enough. Open debate. I love this. I think what we've had in our country before is a tyranny of the majority. And that's what we worry about. But right now we don't have a tyranny of the majority. What we have in this country right now is a tyranny of the minority. That's what we have right now, a tyranny of the fringe minority that tells you to shut up, sit down, and do as you're told. No, we have to stand for what is true. And so I promised you will have a chance to respond. I'm going to keep my promise. You tell me. This is good. We don't do this enough in our country anymore. Open conversation. Tell me.
I was a child when I knew that I was gay. Not the fact that I wanted to change my gender, but living here in this town, I knew that I wanted, that I was a lesbian, that I was attracted to females.
And you know what's
But I had to hide it.
And when did you grow? When was that? In the 90s?
Oh, no. Let's see, I came out when I was 19, so I was born in 1983.
So I think where we are now, we're in a similar generation. I think things today aren't what they were. I grew up in Ohio in the 1990s, and we're in a different place today. And I think this could be a very productive conversation. I don't get to do this in the campaign trail often, where we all are in our own echo chambers and silos. So it's good for us to talk to each other. I like that. Something funny's happened, I think, in the last few years in this country with the civil rights movement. It's right when we get to closest to the promised land of true racial equality that we then start obsessing over systemic racism. It's right when we get to the point in our national history where whoever you are, you can marry who you want, where you want, if you want, whatever gender they are, that we start then obsessing over the sexual identity revolution. You know what's actually funny right now is many people who are lesbian or gay are being taught to say that, hey, if you're a woman attracted to a woman, you're not a woman, you're a man. So that's the transgender movement. The L and the G, first of all, don't have that much to do with each other. The G and the T don't have as much to do with each other. But we're clubbing all of these things up to create more division. I hate the term persons of color. You want to know why? You take 100 different cultures, combine them into one thing that's designed to be opposed to this other thing we call white. And so the way I view this is, you are free to live your life the way you wish to, as long as you don't hurt anybody else in return. And I'm free to do the same thing too. But that doesn't mean we change the way men and women compete in sports. That doesn't mean we change the way men and women, I don't think that just because you identify as a man doesn't mean that you're entitled to a trophy. You agree? Do you agree with me on that?
That's different.
You agree with me on that?
I get you. I get you.
You agree with me on that? All right.
That's different.
Because men shouldn't be swimming with women in women's sports competitions. Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's different.
That's what I'm talking about, right?
100%, that's
And so that's what I'm saying is it's not all the same thing, right? And so we got to respect people and treat them with dignity. Every one of us is different. But all I'll say is kids aren't the same as adults, and if we can agree on that, then I think we at least made some progress tonight and we'll have a step forward. So thank you. I appreciate that. So, and I respect her for asking that. That takes courage to stand up and be the only. You know what? I'll tell you this. When you're the only person in a room, and I'll come to you next, when you're the only person in a room who believes what you do, I will always tell you, stand up and say it. That's how we're going to get this country back, is actually all of us starting to speak openly again. And that's how we're going to get this country back. And I love your shirt. She's got an American flag, so you get the next question.